Escalating violence in Cameroon Anglophone regions, a serious call for concern. Concerns African, through its executive secretary, Amadou Tante, uh, just published a report on this 15th day of December 2025, strongly condemning what it described as a systematic attack on the unarmed civilians, either by armed separatist group or by Fulani armed men or by alleged members of Cameroon Defense and Security Forces. Just within 15 days, we have recorded and documented at least 12 deaths and more than 50 persons kidnapped for ransom, alleged by members of the armed separatist group. In Foya Bafut, in Bamenda, northwest region of Cameroon, on December 5th, 2025, at least 4 unarmed civilians were killed by armed men alleged to be members of Cameroon Defense and Security Forces, according to sources. And equally, in Wowo village, Ndu subdivision on December 12, 2025, 2 separate incidents led to at least 8 deaths, 8 civilians killed. It's alleged that in the morning of that same day, the 12th day of December 2025, 3 Fulani unarmed Fulani were brutally killed by alleged members of the separatist group. These Fulani were on their way to a war village to play football match, and they were killed. And in retaliation, that same night, the Fulani well-armed men attacked a war village, killing at least 5 unarmed civilians and wounding 9 persons. However, according to our sources on the ground, property were equally destroyed, and the Fulani alleges that those they killed were accomplices of the armed separatists who kidnapped or who killed their brothers. So this incident has been very systematic, especially in some part of the Ndonga Mantum division and Metro division and so on and so forth, especially where Fulani are attacking villagers, and villagers are some separatists attacking Fulani. So again, in Mbelewa in Kwen, in Bamenda, there was another case of one businessman who was also brutally killed. His corpse was found after he was kidnapped on the 4th day of December. And concerning kidnapping, we have recorded and documented at least 50 cases of kidnapping by alleged armed separatists, either in the Ado market in Bamenda, or we have in Bamising, we have in Kumbu, and even within Bamenda, and so on and so forth. So Concerns African has strongly condemned this act done by the armed separatists or done by the members of the defense, alleged members of defense and security forces, and the Fulani armed men as well. Meanwhile, we give the following recommendation to all the stakeholders. Firstly, we call on the government to carry out an immediate and independent investigation into the alleged cases of human rights violation and abuses to ensure perpetrators of these gruesome acts are identified and prosecuted. They should call on the government to ensure the protection of civilians by increasing the deployment of defense and security forces to the notorious areas where violent acts are mostly perpetrated. We call on all parties to the conflict to respect international human rights and international humanitarian laws. We equally call on the international community to condemn these systematic, gross human rights violations and abuses, while supporting efforts to address the humanitarian crisis in the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon, and equally seeking a durable end to the almost 10 years armed conflict. The government should equally order for immediate and unconditional release of all victims of the conflict, arrested and arbitrarily detained. Armed separatists, on their part, should immediately and unconditionally release all those kidnapped and cease kidnapping on civilians, which is a serious crime against humanity. The state of Cameroon should equally seek a durable solution to the conflict through an inclusive and sincere dialogue, addressing its root causes and equal an end to the suffering of the inhabitants of these parts of the northwest of Cameroon. Done in Douala this 15th day of December 2025 and signed by Amadou Tante, the Executive Secretary of Concerns African, Cameroon.